Up early, 5:30 in the morning, and want to go downtown for breakfast. At one of his, he called it the Greasy Spoon. And I said, "Okay, Grandpa, where are we going?" He goes, we'll just go and go somewhere for breakfast." So he'd wake me up at 5, and we'd get in the car and drive downtown and go somewhere. And we'd walk in, and no matter who was in that restaurant, you'd always hear, "Hey, Coach!" And I thought, wow, these people know my grandpa. And they'd all come up to him and shake his hand or thank him or whatever. And at that point, he was athletic director. He wasn't coaching anymore. And all I wanted to do in my life was grow up to be just like him. I wanted to be a basketball player at Mount Vernon. He got me a jersey and a warm-up, and I wore that for probably 3 years. My mother couldn't get it off of me. I'd go to school in Champaign and go, "What's that Mount Vernon thing?" I said, "It's the best." It's the best. That's where I'm going to play ball when I grow up, okay? And then later in life, Grandpa would come up and see us, and I had the privilege of being on this Champaign Central basketball team. In my sophomore year, he and Grandma came up, and I wasn't the star by any means, not like my Uncle Andy. But he would, the coach knew my grandpa and grandma were there, and it was a game against Mattoon. And the sophomore coach yelled down the bench and said, "Changnon." I'm like, is he calling my name? He says, "Get in there, we need you to play." And I thought, hell, I never played. So I went in and played, and later on I found out that Coach knew my grandpa was there and my grandma, and he wanted me to play in front of my grandma and grandma. So those are memories I'll never forget. But I wrote something down. I'm going to share it with you. I don't want to bore you. Some of this stuff you know already, but I thought, just having these comments, I just wanted to share with you, so bear with me. But on behalf of our entire Changnon family, I want to thank everyone for being here, as I said before. Just as our family, friends, community members, ex-players, coaches came together in 1984 to support my grandpa's name and name this gym after him. You know, he's a legend. And he's a Hall of Fame coach, not just in basketball, but he's also Hall of Fame in football. And he didn't just coach basketball. He coached track, he coached the golf team, he was AD, he lived 20 years here and worked for these guys, worked for this school district from 43 to 63, and lived another 18 years until he passed away July 5th in 1981 in Mount Vernon, Illinois, at 2525 Casey, and they never left that address. They moved in and stayed. He was not a man that needed to be, "I'm Stan Changnon, worship me." He was the man that says, "What can I do for you?" He grew tomatoes in his backyard,
Yes,
gave to everybody.
Yes, he did. I know.
Okay, some of the best tomatoes ever grown.
Yep.
The biggest. But anyway, his basketball coaching career spanned 4 decades, including stops at Donovan, Illinois, which is up in Iroquois County, Johnson City. And his story about coming to Johnson City, he said, when we were coming into town, guys came out of the woodwork on the highway with guns because he thought we were a strike breaker for the coal mine. We had our washer tied to the front end of the car in 1932. Boy, the stories he could tell. West Frankfort, he coached there, and then he came to Mount Vernon. He was hired here July 27th, 1943. His lifetime career of coaching in basketball, he has a record of 507 wins and 199 losses. That's a 71.8% winning percentage. That's 706 games he coached in basketball, and to win almost 72% of those, pretty damn good. He was hired here, like I said, and in the time he was here, in 9 years of coaching, he won 229 games and lost 59. That's a 79.6% winning percentage. As a head coach at Mount Vernon, he won 9 regionals in the 9 years he was here, 3 sectionals, back-to-back state championships. Had never been done before in the state of Illinois. And it was back in the day when they had one group, boys. We're all together. There's not 4 classes. In an incredible 2-year span, from fall of 48 to spring of 50, Mount Vernon Rams were 63 wins and 3 losses. Those 3 losses came in 49 by 1 point apiece. Wow. So he missed a 66-0 by 3 points. The 33-0 1950 team, I don't think Mount Vernon's had an undefeated team since then, have they? No. Close, but not there. Coach Changnon, the coach, as I always call it, as he was called in town, he just barely missed that record. But he was the first basketball coach in Illinois to win the back-to-back. In addition, Coach Changnon's 9 years, he was an unbelievable coach, but he was also a man who built men. And I think, to me, when it's all over with, when you have young men that you produce like Max Hooper, like Walt Moore, like Eddie King, John Riley, and Bobby Lee, I mean, we could go on forever. And why does a guy from Champaign, a kid that's 63 and a half years old, why do I know these names? Because that was part of my life. It's my tradition. And I'll never let it go. I have a book here on my grandpa. That's him. One book. It's amazing what's in, and I've collected it. And I want to hand that down to whom? My kids. They may live in Indy. They may live in Chicago. I don't know where they're going to live. It's just like having a new school. I don't know where that next gym's going to be. But why should the name that's here not travel there?
You're right.
Yay!
You know, Grandpa said it was amazing. He said in 1949, I shared this with somebody who was here today, I think it was with Randy, after the 49 state championship game, they came back, he says, there was a long line of cars. I don't know why they were following us. And I said, Grandpa, come on. He says, it came back to town. He says, you know what, I didn't go to the gym for the big celebration right away because I had to get home and make sure the coal furnace was fired up. I had to stoke the coal and make sure it was going before I came to the gym for the celebration. Priorities. He said, really, it's all about the boys. In 1950, he was selected Man of the Year or something in Mount Vernon, and he said, guys, I'm just doing my job. It's about the boys. It's about the young men. It's not about me. Coach Changnon's IHSA tournament career record, 15 wins, 4 losses. Coach Changnon was inducted in the Illinois High School Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame, first year, 1973. First year of the Hall of Fame, he was one of the first inductees in 73. But in addition to that, in 82, he was inducted into the High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame in 1982. Now, how many coaches do we know in the state of Illinois who have gotten out of coaching who are in 2 athletic Hall of Fames? Don't know about many? Okay, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's many. And then he served as Mount Vernon's athletic director for 10 more years after retiring from coaching. But here's another key thing about Grandpa, and you've heard stories about this, and who knows, but Grandpa did share with family. His best friend, Harold Hutchins, who was his assistant coach, they'd go camping in the Smokies together with the wives, and they did everything together. He said, Harold, we got a good team coming up. I'm going to retire from coaching, and I'm going to name you a head coach. I'll help you, I'll assist, but I want you to be head coach. Grandpa knew in the heart of hearts, he said, I got enough boys on this team, and with Abe Ant, he says, I think we can win the state championship. They make it to the state, and Mount Vernon beats who? DeSable. They were supposed to have, they had everybody. They were going to beat us, and all the papers said, well, Mount Vernon won't win, and they beat them 76-7. Now, Harold Hutchins is the coach, but let me tell you, there's a shadow behind that, and your Stan Changnon was right there. Here's my final statement, and I'll quit after this, if I can keep it to you. My grandfather was a humble man and did not seek recognition for himself, but always for his players. And my grandmother and he lived at 2525 Casey for almost 40 years. They dedicated their lives to this community. My brothers and our wives don't feel his legacy should die with the construction of a new high school, but be carried on in the tradition that is Mount Vernon Rams basketball.
Yes. Hear, hear.
The Mount Vernon Rams, and somebody said this on Facebook, and I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. The Mount Vernon Township High School loyalty song states, Mount Vernon High, we're loyal to you. Hold your traditions sacred and true.
Right. Hear, hear.
Question to the citizens, to the people here and anybody else that would care to listen. to Randy's radio shows or to the newspaper articles that are going to be written. Question to the citizens. When you sing this loyalty song at the first home game this year, will it be hard to sing those words, hold your traditions sacred and true?
Yes.
Or will it be easy because the new gym still honors the legendary coach, Stan Changnon?
Great.